Have you ever met a woman who wasn't the loudest in the room? But somehow, every room she entered shifted because of her presence. This is the story of how Maya became that woman. Some stories begin with chaos, but Maya's began with something quieter. A feeling she couldn't shake. Is this really all I am? Little did she know, this question would unlock a version of her she never imagined. For most of her life, Maya blended in. Not because she lacked potential, but because she lacked permission. Permission she was secretly waiting for someone else to grant. She wore oversized clothes to avoid attention. She kept her thoughts small so no one would call her too much. At her job she did the work of 3 people, yet stayed silent in every meeting. People didn't ignore her because they disliked her. They ignored her because she taught them she was ignorable. And every night, when she wiped off the makeup she barely wore, she whispered to her reflection, "Maybe confidence just wasn't meant for someone like me." But she was wrong. So beautifully, powerfully wrong. It happened during a company dinner. Maya sat quietly, tucked between 2 talkative colleagues. But then she heard it. A comment that sliced deeper than any insult. Someone across the table laughed and said, "Maya, she's nice, but she's just basic. You barely notice she's there." Everyone chuckled. Maya froze. Her throat tightened. Her heart cracked. And for the first time, she didn't swallow the pain. She swallowed a decision. That night she went home, sat at the edge of her bed, and stared at the woman in the mirror. She didn't look weak. She didn't look boring. She looked unused, unawakened, untapped potential waiting for permission she finally realized she could grant herself. And so began the quiet transformation. Not loud, not dramatic, but deliberate. She started with the simplest shift. Posture. Standing tall, shoulders back, chin lifted. Confidence isn't born in the mind. Sometimes it starts in the spine. Then she upgraded her wardrobe. Not expensive. Intentional. Clothes that fit her. Colors that honored her skin tone. And outfits that whispered, "I take myself seriously." She spoke slower. Chosen words. Measured tone. Class wasn't in the brand she wore. It was in the grace she carried. She read more. She learned more. She became deeply aware of her self-worth. Little by little, a woman began to emerge. Confidence works like perfume. You smell it before you see it. Co-workers started greeting her first. Men held doors longer. Women asked where she bought her outfits. Her boss suddenly wanted her opinion. But Maya didn't become confident so others would notice. That was just the side effect. She became confident so she could notice herself. She walked differently, spoke differently, thought differently. And in doing so, the world recalibrated. One evening, at another company dinner, the same people sat around the same table. But this time Maya wasn't a shadow. She walked in wearing a simple black dress. Not flashy, not loud, but elegant, understated, powerful. Her boss introduced her as the woman behind the project that saved the company millions. Suddenly, the room leaned toward her, not away. And the same colleague who called her basic couldn't take her eyes off the new Maya. Not because Maya changed into someone else, but because she finally became who she always was. Confidence isn't noise. It's clarity. It's knowing you deserve to be in the room without announcing you're there. Class isn't luxury. It's self-respect made visible. Maya realized that a woman becomes unstoppable the moment she stops asking for permission. She didn't chase attention. She attracted respect. She didn't become arrogant. She became aligned. And that alignment made her glow. Weeks turned into months. And one day, after giving a presentation that earned a standing ovation, Maya walked into the restroom and looked in the mirror. She smiled, not because she was perfect, but because she was finally proud. The invisible woman was gone. The classy, confident woman had risen, and she had built herself from the inside out. So if you're listening to this, and you've ever felt overlooked, undervalued, or unseen, remember Maya. Confidence is not a gift some women are born with. It's a decision, practice, lifestyle. Class is not about money. It's about intention. Elegance is not appearance. It's behavior. You elevate when you decide to. You transform when you refuse to stay small. And your life, your relationships, your career, and peace will rise to meet the version of you that finally shows up. Because the world cannot ignore a woman who no longer ignores herself. And that is the woman you are becoming. Welcome to the Thrive Side.